everyone, welcome to Big Talk. Tonight we'll delve our attention to the concern of local government autonomy. It really looks that after 6 months, the judgment from the Supreme Court, the federal government have not properly effected direct payment from the allocations from the federal allocations down to the local government. And now it has triggered a lot of concerns, reactions about the state of the local government in respect to implementation. Away from this implementation, are the state governors really allowing some of these local government to really work? They have also criticized and blamed some state governors for still being in control of the resources that is ordinarily by virtue of the judgment of the Supreme Court belongs to the grassroots, that belongs to the local government. Tonight on the program, I'm being joined by Honorable Adekunle George, who is the ADC candidate of Equal Local Government area in Ogun State. He's connecting with us to give us some perspective and reaction to all of these national concerns. Thanks so much, Honorable Adekunle, for joining us. Very quickly, what is the true state of the local government today? Because we've seen that the government, through the Supreme Court, try to give a financial autonomy to local government so as to address all of those issues of the grassroots development. How would you describe the current state after 6 months that this judgment was given?
I would want to commend the current administration for really, pushing the judgment through, because it's been in the pipeline for a couple of years now, but for whatever reason, previous administrations have not really hammered down. There's been no, so to speak, political will until now with the current administration. However, because it wasn't, should I say, forthcoming. So it took a lot of governors by surprise, the ruling in July. So obviously they needed time, to somewhat hand over, the current operations and administration, of how they handle the local government funds. So obviously on their own part, they needed some form of moratorium, and the federal government in itself even was not prepared for that, that handover as well. That's why till today, the local governments have not directly received their funds, although on the governor's part, again, many of them have taken positive steps in conducting local government elections, because I believe that was what would have been the first step to take, because given the governance practice in Nigeria, or state governance practice in Nigeria, many times state governors do not conduct local government elections. There are many times where they just, we call it selection, they just put somebody there, or they, arrange some committee or governing council to govern those local governments. But for a couple of states that have taken that positive step, first to conduct the elections, I commend them. So that needs to be addressed first. I think there are only a handful of states that have conducted elections since the Supreme Court ruling in July. After which, the people can now expect, especially at the grassroots level, to see some sort of, tangible changes. Yes, people still have their doubts, the opposition that still believe that, okay, even if there's autonomy in the local government, the local government chairmen are still, part and parcel of the incumbent state governors party. So what really will change? But the truth of the matter is there's more accountability, there is more transparency. I believe now more people will be, or especially on the grassroots level, be aware of how much money directly is allocated to the local governments. And also, I think the Attorney General of the Federation, even even recently, rather, he has, hammered that the local government chairmen do not have immunity, which I believe is very, very important.
We kind of stress the importance of grassroots development, because those are really casting their minds back to how local government were able to carry out some projects. They were able to intervene in community in terms of also creating an enabling environment for community to strive. The markets were probably still maintained by the local government, but it seems looks that after whatever happened, that financial autonomy was not directly given to the local government, the situation has not been the same. We've also seen where state governors are arguing that we can't completely allow the local government to manage their funds. And these are the questions I will ask you about the level of practicability of this judgment. The judgment is given that funds should be sent from federal government to the local government. But the state government are arguing that if we have issues of joint federation account where federal government somehow do well to see how they can appropriate some funds in the state, how about completely saying that funds should be sent from this federal government to local government without the state government involvement? Do you feel this is practicable, looking at the instances where Anambra state government are saying we cannot completely allow the local government to manage our funds? They may not have the efficiency, they lack the capacity to manage this fund. What is your concern about that?
I'll say it's all politics at the end of the day. There's no state governor that can come out and tell you the local government chairman have no capacity, or the local government structure as it is currently constructed does not have the capacity to handle or manage its own funds. It's all a lie. We've had instances where, I would even use a recent example in Abia State where the incumbent governor's party.
Concerned about that. We'll try as much as possible to get him back to react to the state of the local government. ALGON and NULGE are kicking against the state government continuous managing of a location that is meant for the local government. They have really raised a concern about the failure of the federal government to set up committee that will look at how some of these things can be implemented, because after the judgment, there has not been much. Yes, the federal government tried to make such an implementation committee, but how effective has this been? It looks like we've gotten this judgment 6 months. Many state independent electoral commission had conducted local government election to have local government chairman and elected local government officials in office. But after all of these electoral processes within the local government level, it really looks that the local government are still feeling incapacitated to manage and also deliver their respective developmental strides to their respective local government area. Over 774 local government we have in this country, that those are really having a concern that if all of these local government are put to work and they are working, it looks that all of the challenges, some of the challenges, if not all of the challenges we are facing today will be tackled with, because everyone belongs to a community, everyone belongs to a local government, everyone belongs to a respective state, and this will also boost how we can also look at ensuring that we have a proper management of our resources, and of course developing the infrastructure. We'll go on a very quick break, everyone, and once I return from the break, we'll try as much as possible to open up the conversation beyond the locations that is meant to get to the local government area. Capacity of the local government to manage this fund, how far and how well. Do stay with us. I'll be right back. Many thanks everyone for still staying with us. This is Big Chalk. Our total disbursement revenue increased from 1.358 trillion naira. The federal government had received all of that. Now the state is had received in August 2024 over 473.477 billion naira, and the local government projected to receive over 343.703 billion naira. Which is just a slightest increase from the 6.684 billion naira from the previous month. All of that really looks at there might be an intentions of government in order to increase and also look at the revenue. Increase of allocation to the state, but concern about local government autonomy, financial autonomy looks not really enough to fully allow the local government to work. Just days ago, Edo State House of Assembly had to suspend local government chairman in Edo State on the account that they had invited them for some question. On the other hand, for insubordination, they had to suspend the local government chairman. Those that are really having a concern, would the House of Assembly of the state have the capacity, without really finding some of these allegations true, to suspend the local government chairman? It still get back to the point of questioning how effective and the capacity of local government structure in managing the affairs of the people at the grassroots. Mr. DECRY, thanks so much for still being part of the program. Very quickly, we're looking at capacity of local government. Those that are really having a concern that it looks that if we allow this autonomy fully to get to the local government, it might be aware of also increasing some cases of corruption, mismanagement of funds and allocation back to these grassroots. Because we've also seen similar cases plays out in different states. Funds are being mismanaged. Intentions of some leaders are not truly genuine by virtue of giving back to the people. Are you concerned about this? If these are the fears of the state government, do you feel it's justifiable enough?
I don't think it's justifiable enough. Again, there are certain requirements that are expected of any candidates to run for office, of which what is most paramount is educational qualification. So if you meet the criteria, I believe there's some level of competency that you would have, to be able to handle that position. Like I said earlier, before the call broke off, usually it's just all politics they're playing. So many state governors, like I said, with a landmark decision like this, I would have expected all states, with local governments to have conducted their local government elections. But we find ourselves in a situation where that has not happened yet. It's only a handful of states that have conducted their elections. As far as capacity of the local government goes, again, in managing its funds, they are very well capable. There's a lot of interference involved, of which I don't want to, touch on at the moment. But I would say this, as far as effecting tangible change, to the lives of farmers, primary health care, taxes, all those things, they are very, very, very much achievable for any local government chairman in Nigeria. Again, with a landmark decision like this, obviously, you can even see what's happening with the tax bill on the federal level, with so much interference from all the zones. So something like this as well will have its own peculiarities. But notwithstanding, it doesn't mean that, tangible change cannot come with this decision. Like I said, yes, the funds will begin at some point next year, I believe, will begin to be transferred into the local government accounts directly. So whatever homage, whatever local government chairman is paying, that's his own business. But as far as seeing results, seeing the effects of this decision, I believe that we should be able to, or people at the grassroots will be able to feel, will be able to see, will be able to tell that, look, as a result of President Tinubu's influence on this decision, this is what has been able to happen in my local government. So capacity from whatever state governor that is ranting or saying all those things, they're very, like I said, it's all politics, But let's not be distracted. There are local government chairmen that really wants this election, party affiliation or no party affiliation. Sorry, they want this decision and they want this allocation transferred it directly to their own local governments. What they do with the funds is yet to be seen. But like I said earlier, nothing stops them. Nothing stops any local government chairman from performing his duties. We know what the local government chairman or the local government's body as a whole is in control of in states. There's only so much they can do. But as far as affecting, like that's why I use the word tangible. Some you don't want elephant, you can't even get a elephant project on the local government level. But simple things such as primary health care, local roads, maybe transformers, all these things, they can easily do them. It doesn't cost them anything. We're going into an era where I like to think a minimum in the southwest, even south, there I say, each local government would receive in the tune of 500 million naira every month. So what are they going to be doing with the 500 million naira every month? We're talking about how many billion in a year? Oh, that's about 6 billion in a year. What are they going to be doing with this? And that's why, like I said earlier, the AGF has hammered down on zero immunity rather, for any local government chairman. So it's yet to be seen anyway. Let's see what they can do. I like to be hopeful. We're going into a new era, and more people will become aware of what is going on in the country, especially on the state and grassroots level.
Some governors are already claiming that they're already utilizing some of the funds and that is meant for the local government, so that they are also protecting the interests of the local government. And that's the reason why they're arguing that government money is not enough to take care of all the health and the primary school teachers. But they are saying that they should allow the implementation first before and all of this concern can be able to come up. How do we say that for the state government, who are saying that they are already they are prioritizing the responsibilities of the local government? There are governors today because of the local government. Do you feel that they are afraid that powers or away from the locations will be indirectly or directly retrieved from some of the government, from the governors that we have?
Sorry, what's your question, please?
Do you feel that the argument that the governors are putting forward, that they are saying that they are protecting the interests of the local government, we are existence and we are also developing our respective local government in our state? And I'm asking, do you feel that these contentions or the concern of these governors is that the local government might not have all of the funds, even with the locations, to enhance and develop their infrastructure and health in all of these other sectors all alone?
Okay, yes. So for sure, there's a deficit problem. The country doesn't have enough money. Be that as it may, it doesn't stop anybody. It doesn't stop any governor, any senator, from fulfilling their own duties. Rome wasn't built in a day. Nigeria, unfortunately, we're not producing enough for the population that we have. So yes, the state governors, even with bias, in their own villages or in their own local governments in their respective states, pay more attention to their villages, to their local governments. So there's a level of prioritization that goes on. There are certain projects that have to be prioritized before other projects because of the deficit that they have with the funds. But this is not to say that whatever the people in power are doing with the current funds is right. At least in the eyes of the people. We believe there are certain things that should be prioritized, like healthcare, like road infrastructure, like farming, agriculture. Those things should be prioritized. But we're in a situation where that is not the case. So at the same time, I don't want to cast aspersions on anybody, on any state governor. I believe they are trying, because when you get involved in local politics, from an onlooker's perspective, it's pretty much straightforward. Oh, you should do this, you should do that. And that's why I touched on the current issues that the Senate is facing, or should I say the presidency is facing, with enacting this new tax bill. There's so many interests at play. just because you're the number one citizen in your local government or in your state doesn't mean you have your say. Whatever you say goes. You're dealing with so many leaders on the communal level as well. So there are many things, that there are many people you have to, plead with to do certain things on a local level. But at the same time, I know I'm sounding politically correct, but at the same time, there's only so much one can do. But whatever one can do can be tangible, directly influence change, can go a long way for people, So that's what I would say on that, really. Um, but let's not kid ourselves. Nigeria does not produce enough, and there's a large deficit. There's only so much money that can go around. We are 200 million plus and counting. In fact, we don't know what our exact population the number is. So, but what we can do, we'll do.
Confirm to us if Ogun State have also conducted their own local government election. Because it looks that
Sorry?
not all states have conducted local government elections as far as
Yes.
that judgment of the Supreme Court was concerned, which gives illegality or which describe issues of a caretaker committee set up by the different states as illegal, that they must have a duly elected executive chairman to man the different local government areas so as to be able to have the capacity and the legal grounds to assess this allocation from the federal allocation account.
Yes. Yes, so that's what I said earlier. The first step really with a landmark decision like this is to conduct the elections. Again, only a handful of states have. Some are yet to. In fact, majority of the states are yet to, which is unfortunate because that's in actuality, stalls the impact of what this decision was supposed to, make. If 3, 4 states have conducted their elections and they are yet to see the impact of the new of the ruling rather, and maybe 20 other plus states have yet to. Those 20 other states, and their governors would use that as leverage to delay whatever decision the Supreme Court has taken. So that's again is a landmark decision. Many of them didn't see it coming, especially we're coming off a re-election year for the state governors. So they're still, I believe they're still trying to put their affairs in order and everything. And before you know it, this one comes in. So they need a lot of time to adjust to quote unquote handover and as far as administration goes, and also for the parties to run their primaries, select credible candidates, in the respective parties to contest for the position of the chairmanship. So again, I like to be hopeful that this is something that will kick in by January, February next year. But as it is now, the majority of the states are yet to conduct the local government elections. I don't know what is going to happen. We find ourselves in a situation where certain states have not even conducted local government elections in the longest. And now this is going to happen. So it's like, they're scattered. Everything's all haphazard at the moment. But let's see, but what I would want is for the Nigerian people to be aware of this ruling and to put pressure, mount pressure on your state's representatives, and let everyone come to a concrete decision that, so people can, get involved in the selection process or election process of the local governments.
We've also seen where ALGON have also been asked to charge on the prudent management of resources, even when some of these respective local government are yet to access. But let me take you through the concern about many a times we've had different promises that if we have these, if we receive these, things will begin to work. I don't know if you can recall, for instance, in petroleum sector, there are those that are concerned that if we have our own local refinery, the price of PMS will drastically drop. If we have Dangote or our own local refinery, things will get better. It really looks that even after we now have Dangote refinery and that of Port Harcourt refinery that have been put to work, the prices of the PMS is still as high as 1,100 and 200 as the case may be, which is not still to the happiness of Nigerians. when you look at this local government autonomy, there are still fears on the minds of some Nigerians that it really looks that it may have this local government autonomy, and that all of those dreams and aspirations might not be the same. There are indicators to these challenges which you likely understand about the issues of inflation and all of those concerns that is already hitting deep into our country. But would you feel that they will make a difference if this financial autonomy or this allocation is directly being received by the local government?
It will make definitely it will make a major difference. Like I said, the first step is for Nigerians to get involved. You cannot just be an online commentator, on your local affairs. If you know as a citizen that okay, there's been a landmark ruling that would see a federal allocation come directly to the local government, then you should get involved. Then nothing stops you from getting involved. Go back to your state, go back to your village, and go to your council area and say, okay, this is what it is. They said they gave us 400 million this month. Where is our state chairman? Someone name. What did you do with the 400 million? We're getting to a point where Nigerian politics, right? Things would remain the same if we don't get involved, especially young people. If we don't get involved, we want change, and we are more aware than the older generation. And we cannot continue to just complain online. Go on Twitter and tweet. So this is this. If you want to see change, if you want to effect change, join a political party. Not necessarily even win a seat. Join the political party, attend the local meetings, and see what is happening. You cannot be in Lagos or in Abuja or abroad and be complaining about something that's going on in your state. It doesn't work that way. And these politicians know that. So unless you begin to be active, it's not enough that you complain online and you do this and that. Get involved. If you want to see change, get involved. That's what I will say to that. I myself, I'm a young politician, and what really drove my ambition was curiosity. Things don't change, things aren't working. What exactly is happening? I went back to my state, I saw it firsthand. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, so I need to join. And I joined. So that's the message to every other young person.
So you feel there's a disconnect between the people and the state of the local government?
Sorry?
You feel that there is a disconnect between the people and the state of the local government. Concern and concentration is really more of the federal and the state.
Yes, for sure it is. Because they are the ones in the media. You see your state governor's faces everywhere, or your president's face everywhere. And as far as the presidency or the state government sometimes will be concerned, they have allocated resources to the local level. So if you're looking for who is, quote unquote, maybe embezzling money or doing all sorts, go and find out. Go to your local governments and go and find out who is taking the money. As far as the federal government is concerned, they gave Lagos State X millions or billions of naira in the month of December. You're not going to say the state governor of Lagos did so, and so, and you're complaining to the federal. The federal will tell you that we've given him the money now for the schools, for the this, for the that. So you're going to miss your state government and prove them. And that's what we need to do. Yes, there's a disconnect. Like I said, maybe it was somewhat maybe it is somewhat by design, or it's just plain ignorance on the people's part. Only God knows. But there's obviously a level of disconnect. People don't really know how politics, local politics, works in Nigeria. So that's why I try to emphasize on the importance of joining your local politics. Not in Lagos, not in the major cities. Go back to your original, your state of origin rather, and find out what is happening. So that disconnect, you can begin to bridge the gap with your own generation. You see what is happening, and then you are more aware. And if you join them, you can begin to offer your proper innovative solutions, to the current challenges they have. Because I'll tell you for a matter of fact, the locals, they need a savior because they are not happy with the things on ground. You touched on inflation, price of PMS, all these things. It's really affecting them. It's really affecting them. And they're looking for somebody there who can come at least pushing the effects of these things on a local level. So you believe you're that person, then you might as well go back to your state and work from there.
when you look at that, those things that probably one would have been expected to be, also the contributions are coming from the grassroots, from the local government. Issues of agriculture, for instance. The recent food inflation has given a lot of people more concern to be worried about, looking at the issues of inflation, lack of food, and it posed a question about, are the local governments slipping under also cultivating? What is the state of agriculture? What are the challenges? Because if we are holding the federal government for some policies making economic reforms and all of those things, we are holding our state governors for mismanagement or concern about where they are investing some of the allocation to. What about agriculture? Have we totally abandoned agriculture? And what will be your message tonight on the program?
Yeah, so to that, I would say no. Nigerians are not lazy people. As far as my state goes, Ogun State, I'm from the local government. We are the people. So for those who know, we're farmers. So they are still growing, but on a large scale, no, they are not encouraged to grow more. Partly or majorly because of major infrastructure as far as storage system goes, machinery as well, to and infrastructure to enable them cultivate all year round. They're not able to do as far as the demand is there. It's not an issue. Many of them even currently transports majority of their produce to Lagos, and that's where they sell. Um, I can't speak for the Ministry of Agriculture and also on the for the Commissioner of Agriculture in Ogun State. I can't speak for them, but I would like to think that they, at least within their own powers, are trying, to invest
Well, my
in the
question wasn't
sector.
to hold you to speak for either the commissioner or the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
My concern was about how do we also encourage, local farming or even the, more farming from the grassroots so as to fight this inflation that we are having. Because
Yeah.
prior to this time, when we were depending more on agriculture, there was a level of participation from all families. People took their gardens or whatever, their environment to also see what they can plant. We, in a way, it was reducing the demand for importation of food. Do you feel that over time, people have fell on this responsibility? And yes, the causes may be many challenges we are facing, environmental challenges, issues of transportation or whatever statistics may be, but totally it looks that there's an abandonment of that continuous effort by citizens to engage in agricultural purpose.
Yeah, there will be because again, like, we're an import-dependent country. You cannot say we don't manufacture anything, so we cannot say that we are going to promote farming when dollar is expensive. Your fertilizer, all these things, they're all imported. That's my point. They're all imported. So generally, it would, it is discouraging. You're not that motivated to grow because one is very expensive to grow, and two, when you grow, how much do you want to sell it for? Because people in your local communities cannot even afford your produce. So this is where the I didn't want to touch on the ministries, but this is where maybe it's certain ministries or certain reps members, come in with this is their palliative that they do. Sometimes some reps members go back to their constituents and they donate fertilizers and all these things. So that is what really cushions the effects, or should I say, can motivate the locals to produce more. We're in a very, very compromising situation in the country. So generally, every sector is affected. Yes, if you're not doing it for business, maybe let's say for your own household, yes, you can grow, your tomatoes and this and that, yes. But if it's something that you use to survive, that gives you income, it's a very difficult period. It is a very difficult period for whoever it is. So we personally, I'm because I'm somewhat into food processing myself, so I encourage farming a lot, because the opportunities are vast, but currently is very, very discouraging. Very discouraging in our local communities now because everything is always very expensive for them.
All right. Before I let you go, that exercise of local government elections is still a major concern. That those that are having a lot of argument that what we had wasn't an election; it was more of a selection. And then we will have some state governors still having hands in selecting who rules our respective local government. Then we are still very far from the reality of implementing the intention of this financial autonomy. How do you describe the elections we've had so far?
The elections we've had, really and truly, like I said, it's all participation. When you look at the numbers, for example, let's say in a presidential election, in my local government, for example, there are about 400,000 plus registered voters, and then in the presidential election, only about 20,000 come out to vote. So maybe there's voter apathy in the land. That's a very credible argument to make. But it all boils down to participation of every registered voter in the community. You cannot tell me 50,000 of you come out and say this is the person we want to rule our local government, that whoever from wherever will come and change their results. It's not possible. So I would want to encourage everyone to come. We've seen a recent example, I think in Abia State, where the incumbent is a Labour Party governor, and in about 17 local governments, about 15 of them went to Zenith Labour, and two went to Young YPP. I don't know what the full name is. YPP. So there was a split there. That happens if you go to the state assemblies of APC run states or PDP run states or Abia run states. You see two, three what's it called, reps members from opposition parties. So it's all about participation. The process is not very fair. We can all agree. Our elections, we're a very young country, so we still have a lot of time to go. But I like to be optimistic that if more and more people participate on the voting level, you bring your own person in your local government, and that local government or that community has that person's back. Really and truly, there's nothing that can be done. But elections again are not straightforward. That's what I would say. It's all about timing. It's all about your platform you run on as well. You need to run on a strong platform. You cannot come from an unknown party and say you want to cause an upset. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So one, you need to be a very credible person, and two, you need to have the support of the community. Everything else be left to God, and to a lesser extent, man. I'll put it that way.
George, LDC candidate, Equerry local government area from Ogun State. Thanks so much for joining us and giving us some
Thank you for
update
having
coming
me.
from the grassroots. We needed to have this conversation for the purpose of taking our attention back to this over 6 months ago concern about the Supreme Court judgment on the state of the local government and granting financial autonomy to them. Thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, everyone. There's already a projection already given by the president for 2025 budgets, and it really looks that if we must get this budget to work, there must be some indicators in respect to projection on how we can address issues of importation. And how do we also address issue of importation is that we must begin to produce at our end because production fights importation. And the reason why we must have the production is to enhance, we must begin to enhance our state of infrastructure so as to inspire entrepreneurs to begin to see what they can produce in adding value to the country's economy. 2025, the president said that inflation will be fought to a standstill of over 34%, which is a 15% attempt and average concern. But in all of that, how it betters the lives of the people what is really the concern of many Nigerians. All of these reforms and the policies, even the new budget, projected budget for 2025, it really gets to how it gets to the people, how it affects the people, how it touches the people positively, are the concerns and the questions that have been raised at the grassroots. we do really hope that if at the implementation stage of this local government autonomy, allocation is being sent from the federal account directly to the local government, align the local government to work and develop their respective local government, it looks that better thing that comes. The road has to work. Our primary health care centers must also be paid attention to boost the health living of the people, which by building the health of the people, you're also building wealth. Because when people are stronger, when people are healthy, they're also able to work and contribute to the current state of the economy. That's the size of tonight's conversation tonight on the show. A lot of development will be coming up, and of course, we'll be highlighting that on the big talk here at Global Television. My name is DECRY Michael, your host, and of course, always a delight to have you join us. See you again. Bye-bye for now.